The COVID vaccine is basically a new kind of vaccine, although it's been around for 10 years. And it's been used in a lot of people actually in phase 1 trials for other types of infections. This is the first time it's ever been released to the public. It is a small molecule, what we call messenger RNA. You've probably heard a lot about it. And it is wrapped in a little sphere of lipids, like a little fat ball. And it's injected into your arm. And when it gets in there, your cells will take that particle up, and your cells will use the instructions that the mRNA provides to make a protein called the spike protein, which is something that the virus has on its surface. When your immune system sees the spike protein, it will react to it with a normal immunologic response. It will say, hey, this is an invader, let's react to it, let's figure out what it is, and let's create some antibodies to it, and that's what your immune system does normally and naturally. And so what the vaccine actually does is it elicits a normal immunologic response. We are not putting any part of the virus in your body. In fact, what's interesting about this vaccine is that it doesn't require any virus to manufacture it. All it requires is the knowledge of the virus's genetic sequence. And using that, scientists can actually manufacture this tiny little protein that carries the instructions for just one little part, an important part, but one little part of the virus. So the virus isn't actually in your body. A set of instructions is put in your body, and it makes the viral protein, and it makes it for a very short period of time, and then it just kind of disintegrates. But not before it's made some of the protein that your body can respond to. Like I said, this messenger RNA technique has been around for about a decade. And about 6 or 7 different viruses or infections, it's been studied to try to make vaccines out of them. It hasn't actually failed. It hasn't actually, just hasn't been developed thoroughly yet. The reason it was chosen this time is because it's an easy way to make a vaccine. It can be made more quickly and in larger amounts than a normal vaccine. It doesn't require any of the viral culture mediums. It doesn't require anything but just basically manufacturing. Even though this particular set of vaccines, the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines, seem rushed, what you're actually seeing is just a massive prioritization effort. Coordinating, this effort involved the Department of Health and Human Services along with industry. And they coordinated all their efforts. They dropped what they were doing, and they went after this one thing. And that's why it seems rushed. That's why this wonderful scientific effort has produced 2 vaccines so quickly, because that's all we were doing. And could we do it for other vaccines? I bet we could, but we're going to have all kinds of other priorities compete with each other in the future. This time, we obviously had a massive pandemic, and we had to drop what we were doing, and that's why it seems rushed. But actually all of the necessary processes were followed. We had phase 1, 2, and 3 trials. We had 2 large and appropriately, two large and normal, what we would say, they were designed in the normal way that any vaccine trial would be. There were double-blinded, placebo-controlled trials. The highest standards of scientific clinical investigation were utilized, and we got really wonderful results. And so I would say that this effort was concentrated, but I wouldn't use the word rushed. It's unfair. It's actually quite a simple vaccine in that it has the nanoparticle, which is just like a little sphere that's made out of fat molecules, and inside are the messenger RNA, and that's it. Now, all vaccines are injected in solutions. So the rest of the ingredients, and you can look them up if you'd like, they're very simple. They're used in a lot of intramuscular injections, so there's not anything that's really weird in the mix. The only unique elements are that nanoparticle and the messenger RNA. The vaccines are very similar. They're both, as I described. One of them is a slightly higher dose than the other, but it's a different sort of formulation, so we can't really say, just because one dose is a little larger than another, it's not like you're getting too much vaccine. They're actually dosed very appropriately and had very similar, in fact, extremely similar results in terms of how well they work, 95%. The particles they're packed in have to be kept cold, but also the messenger RNA inside tends to deteriorate. It tends to degenerate, and that's what it does in your body eventually. It doesn't stay in your body. I might add that some of the concerns about safety that have been brought up about, some of the rumors about safety, I would say, that have been brought up about both of these vaccines is that somehow these little pieces of messenger RNA are going to get into your DNA, or they're going to cause other adverse effects. And in fact, there's no evidence that that occurs. This messenger RNA is not produced by your body. It was put into your body. It will break into pieces, and your body will actually just digest it. And it cannot get into the nucleus of your cell, and it cannot intercalate itself into DNA. So there's no reason to worry about that. Those are completely unfounded fears, but you do hear about them. And so if you do hear rumors, please think about looking for better sources. The side effects are common, they are mild, and they consist mostly of pain at the injection site. Some people got some aches, headaches, some people got low-grade fever. Really, that was the extent of it. There were a few side effects, but most of these were very mild or moderate. Well, the first thing I would say to someone who doesn't want to take it is to be honest with yourself. Ask yourself why. And then consider the sources where you're getting your information. Avoid social media. Look for mainstream authoritative sources, the CDC, the state health department, any of the well-known sites can give you good guidance. So the CDC has some wonderful information on the vaccine and its safety. So, and then secondly, I would say, discuss this with your doctor. I mean, you know, if you really don't want to take it, ask your doctor. You can also call the local health department. We'll be happy to answer those questions about vaccine safety. And last of all, I would say consider other people. Consider your family, consider your church, consider your community, and consider the fact that you're taking the vaccine not just to protect yourself, but to protect all the people around you, some of whom are vulnerable, and so you can say that you're doing something for others when you take this vaccine. Well, I like to put my money where my mouth is, and yes, I took my vaccine about 4 days ago, and I'm feeling fine, and no regrets.